You don't become wealthy when the bank says you have $1 million. You become wealthy when your mind refuses to think poor ever again. Let me tell you, the poor mindset has nothing to do with income. I've seen broke people with 6-figure salaries and wealthy people working out of a 1-bed apartment, because wealth is a discipline before it's a deposit. It's a mindset before it's a measurement. You've got to live like a millionaire in thought, in time, and in standard before the world ever rewards you with the title. See, a poor mindset sees every dollar as a tool to survive. A wealthy mindset sees every dollar as a seed to plant. And here's what most miss. You don't need money to think like the wealthy. You need standards. You need clarity. You need purpose. That's how you live like a millionaire, by thinking long, acting with discipline, and treating your time like gold. Because that's what millionaires do. They measure time like treasure. So today I want to walk you through what it truly means to escape the poor mindset and step into a life that builds wealth, not just in your bank account, but in your habits, your relationships, your thinking. Because the secret isn't having money to live well. The secret is learning to live well so you can have money. It starts in the mirror, not in the wallet. Let's talk about how to build the kind of wealth that lasts and the kind of mindset that attracts it like a magnet. Let me tell you something that changed the way I looked at money forever. You can work hard for your money, but the truly wealthy, they figured out how to make their money work hard for them. That's the difference. You see, most people live their whole lives trading time for dollars. It's the only way they know. They work an hour, they get paid, they stop working, the income stops. It's like filling a leaky bucket, constantly pouring effort in just to stay afloat. But wealth begins when that bucket stops leaking, and better yet, when it starts to fill on its own. Now, I'm not saying earned income is bad. No earned income is the starting point. You've got to have a job, a skill, a service to offer. That's how you get the engine running. But what matters most is what you do with that earned income. If you spend it all on things that lose value, cars, clothes, the latest gadgets, then you've traded a day of your life for something that disappears in a year. But if you take a portion of what you earn and invest it in something that produces more income without needing more of your time, well, that's when you start to build wealth. Let me give you an example. I once met a young man who made an average salary nothing special. But every month, he took 20% of his paycheck and put it toward buying dividend-paying stocks and building an online business that solved a small problem in his industry. It didn't make much at first, a few dollars a week. But 5 years later, he wasn't just making money from his job, he was making money without his job. He had created something that worked while he slept. That's passive income. That's the goal. You've got to use earned income like seed. Don't eat all your seed. Plant some, water it, nurture it. That's your investment. That's your rental property. That's your index fund. That's your book, your course, your intellectual property. At first it's small, but if you stay consistent, something beautiful happens. It grows. It grows without asking for your time every day. And one day, the income from your assets surpasses the income from your job. That's the turning point where freedom begins. You don't have to be a millionaire to start thinking like one. Start with $50 a month. Start with a side hustle. Start learning how businesses work, how assets produce cash flow. Start asking better questions. How can I create income that doesn't depend on my effort? The moment you start thinking in terms of passive income, your life shifts from survival to strategy. You weren't made to live paycheck to paycheck. You were made to build a life of leverage, freedom, and purpose. So earn with your hands, but build with your mind. Use your work to buy back your time. And remember, money that works for you is worth more than money you work for. Let me tell you something most people get wrong about money. They work for it, but they never keep it. It comes in the front door and rushes out the back window rent. Groceries, the newest gadget, the night out, the next weekend getaway. And at the end of the month, they look around and ask, where did it all go? You see, it's not that they don't earn enough, it's that they never made a decision to pay themselves first. Now think about this. Every time you earn, who's the first person in line for your money? The landlord? The credit card company? The grocery store? The tax man? Let me suggest something that shifted my entire financial philosophies. The first person who should get paid is you. Not what you owe, not what you consume, not what you indulge in, but you. Before anything or anyone else gets a piece of what you've worked for, you get paid. Now, paying yourself first isn't just about tucking a few dollars away. It's about honoring your future. It's about building a habit of self-respect, not just self-restraint. When you take 10% of every dollar you earn and set it aside into savings, investments, or a wealth account, you're sending a signal to your mind, my future matters. You're not just living for today's cravings, you're living for tomorrow's options. I remember when I first started this habit, I didn't have much. In fact, I thought I couldn't afford to save. But someone wise said to me, you can't afford not to. So I began with 10%. It felt strange at first. The bills still needed paying. The wants were still knocking. But I stayed consistent. That little 10% began to grow. And soon, it became a buffer. Then it became an investment. And eventually, it became freedom. This is not about how much you make. It's about what you do with what you make. I've met people earning six figures who are broke, and I've met folks earning a modest salary who are building real wealth. The difference isn't income, it's habits. And paying yourself first is one of the greatest financial habits you can ever develop. Some will say, but I've got too many expenses. Let me tell you, expenses will always expand to the size of your income if you let them. That's why you must reverse the formula. Don't spend and save what's left. Save first and spend what's left. You'll be surprised how resourceful you become when you commit to honoring yourself first. And if you think 10% is too much, start with 5%. Start with 1%. Just start. The habit matters more than the amount, because once the habit is strong, the amount can grow. And when you make it automatic out of sight, out of temptation, it becomes a system, not a struggle. So every dollar you earn, let it carry a message. Some of this belongs to the future me. That small act of paying yourself first isn't about money, it's about identity. It says you are someone worth investing in. It's amazing how often people believe the secret to wealth is simply earning more. And yet how many times have you heard this story? A person gets a raise and not long after they're still broke. They buy the new car, move into the bigger apartment, eat out more often, upgrade the wardrobe. The income went up, but so did the spending. And here's the harsh truth. If your habits don't change when your income changes, you'll always be in the same financial place, just with more expensive problems. Let me tell you what I learned early. Spend less than you earn, always. No exceptions. No matter how small your income or how large, it's the behavior that matters. This one principle, simple and perhaps even boring, is the cornerstone of every wealth story that doesn't involve luck or inheritance. And I'll tell you why. Because spending less than you earn builds margin. And margin is where wealth is born. The broke mindset operates on the edge. They treat their bank balance like a finish line. Whatever comes in goes out. And they justify it with a dangerous phrase, I deserve it. I've heard it 100 times. I work hard. I deserve the car, the vacation, the new phone. And while that may sound fair, the truth is you don't build wealth by what you deserve. You build it by what you decide. You decide to delay the upgrade, skip the impulse, choose the longer view. Now, don't get me wrong. This isn't about living a life of restriction. It's about creating direction. Budgeting isn't a punishment. It's a plan. When you tell your money where to go instead of wondering where it went, you start taking control. When you live beneath your means, you're not depriving yourself, you're freeing yourself. Because the person who lives below their income creates options. The one who spends it all creates pressure. I remember a young man who came up to me after a seminar. He made a decent living, but he couldn't seem to get ahead. I asked him, do you know where your money goes? He laughed and said, mostly out the window. I told him, Start tracking every dollar, not forever, just for 30 days. 30 days later, he came back shocked. He had found hundreds of dollars in waste subscriptions he forgot, coffee he didn't need, gadgets he never used. He didn't need a raise. He needed awareness. Wealthy people are intentional. They plan their lifestyle around their goals, not their impulses. They don't upgrade just because they upgrade when it fits the vision. When their income goes up, they increase investments, not indulgences. They understand that every dollar not spent is a dollar that can be multiplied. So make it your rule. Spend less than you earn, always. Not sometimes. Not when it's easy. Always. This rule is what separates the wealthy from the wishful. Because wealth is not about what you earn, it's about what you keep. You can't multiply income without first multiplying value. That's a truth you have to live by if you want to rise above mediocrity. Too many people are focused on earning more, but they haven't yet earned the right to ask for more. And by earned the right, I don't mean a degree or a title. I mean usefulness, contribution, mastery. Because the market is always listening, and it pays best those who deliver the most value, not those who simply stay busy. Let me tell you something I discovered early on. Busyness is not productivity. Running around all day doesn't mean you're moving forward. The people who build wealth aren't just doing things, they're solving things. They're not working harder, they're working smarter. And they're not just focused on time, they're focused on transformation. If you want more income, first ask, what bigger problem can I solve? That's the question that creates breakthroughs. Whether you're an employee, an entrepreneur, or just getting started, you've got to increase your capacity to serve. You've got to think, how can I save people time, money, energy, or stress? How can I make life easier, better, or faster for someone else? Because every time you solve a meaningful problem, you become more valuable in the marketplace. I once worked with a young man who was frustrated that he wasn't being paid more at his job. So I asked him, what's one thing your company struggles with? He said, customer service is slow and messy. I said, good, fix it. He dove in, redesigned a process, saved the company time, and customer satisfaction shot up. 2 months later, he got a promotion and a raise. You see, he didn't just demand more money, he became worth more money. This is where most people miss it. They think income is about fairness. It's not. It's about exchange. The market says, I'll pay you in proportion to the difference you make. So if your income hasn't changed, that's a sign your value hasn't either. And don't take that as criticism, take it as a challenge. Start by mastering your craft. Become so good they can't ignore you. Study, practice, refine. Then expand your reach, help more people, serve more clients. Automate what you can, scale what you must, and here's the beauty of it, when your value goes up, your income eventually follows. It might not be immediate, but it is inevitable. That's the law. And here's something else to remember. Never chase money. Chase mastery. Chase impact. Because when you grow into someone who solves real problems, the market can't help but notice. Money is attracted to clarity, certainty, and usefulness. Be that person. So if you want to multiply income, don't start by chasing numbers. Start by multiplying your value. Because when you get better, everything around you gets better. Your clients, your paycheck, your life, it all rises with you. If you want wealth to become your lifestyle, it must first become your routine. See, wealth isn't something you stumble into by accident. It's something you build day by day with intention. It's not a one-time event or a lucky break. It's a pattern, a rhythm. And if you don't make wealth building a part of your daily life, you'll always be chasing it from a distance. I often tell people, if you're not setting aside 30 minutes a day to work on your financial future, then don't be surprised if it doesn't change. And I'm not talking about scrolling through flashy headlines or watching the next trending video on money. I'm talking about deliberate, focused, consistent time carved out for you to become wealthy internally first, externally later. You've got to make it part of your lifestyle. That means every single day, there should be something on your calendar that moves your finances forward. Maybe it's reading 10 pages of a book on investing or wealth psychology. Maybe it's checking in on your net worth and seeing where your assets stand. Maybe it's studying a market real estate, stocks, business opportunities. Or maybe it's reaching out to offer your service, propose a deal, or make an investment. But it has to happen daily, not someday. When I was first learning these principles, I didn't have a wealth routine. I had a survival routine. Wake up, rush, work, sleep, repeat. And I realized that routine was giving me exactly what it was designed to give. Survival, not success. So I changed it. I began to block off 30 minutes every morning before the world had a chance to pull me in. That quiet time became sacred. I would journal my goals. I would read something wise. I would check on my progress. And slowly but surely, my direction changed. My results changed because I had changed. Now, some people say, I don't have 30 minutes. My friend, if you don't have 30 minutes for your financial future, it's not a time problem, it's a priority problem. Take some of that time spent watching others live their dream and invest it into building your own. Trade consumption for creation. Trade entertainment for education. You'll be amazed what happens in 6 months of consistency. Wealth doesn't show up suddenly. It's invisible before it's visible. It's built in the dark hours, the quiet mornings, the patient days when nobody's watching. And routines are what shape your future more than your desires. Desires are emotional, routines are structural, and structure is what wealth respects. So build the habit, set your timer, protect those 30 minutes like they were a meeting with your future self, because that's exactly what they are. And if you show up for your future every single day, I guarantee one day your future will show up for you. If there's one silent force working for or against you every day, it's time. And the wealthy, they understand this. They don't just invest money, they invest time with their money. They let it sit, they let it grow, and they don't interrupt the process every time the wind changes direction. They've learned one of the most powerful principles in wealth creation, compounding. And compounding isn't just math, it's a mindset. Now, let's talk about what most people do. Most people wait. They say, I'll start saving when I earn more. Or, I'll invest once, I have extra. But here's the thing, there's never any extra. Life expands to fill what you allow. If you don't learn to set money aside today, you won't do it tomorrow either. Because you don't need more income, you need more intentionality. That's why the wealthy start early. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They begin when it's small, so it has time to become something great. When I was young, I didn't understand this. I thought wealth came from big deals, lucky breaks, sudden success. But I learned that the real wealth builders were the ones who planted seeds early and kept watering them. Small amounts. Repeated action. Month after month. Year after year. And while others were chasing the next shiny thing, these folks were quietly getting rich. Let me give you a picture. Imagine two people. One starts investing $200 a month at age 25 and stops at 35. The other waits until 35, then starts investing $200 a month and keeps going until 65. Who ends up with more? The first one. Why? Because time is the multiplier. Compound interest doesn't reward effort, it rewards patience. 10 years early can be worth more than 30 years late. That's not philosophy, that's math. Now, I know people who say, but I'm already 40, 50, 60, it's too late for me. And my answer is always the same. It's only too late if you never start. Because compounding doesn't just work on money, it works on knowledge, habits, relationships, and energy. You may not have started early, but you can start now. And if you stay consistent, even small beginnings can produce remarkable outcomes. What matters most is that you stop breaking the compounding. Don't start and stop, start and stop. Don't invest for a year and then pull it out for a vacation. That's like digging up the tree every season to see if it's growing. Leave it alone. Feed it, protect it. Time will take care of the rest. So ask yourself, what seeds have you planted that time can work on? What habits are you building today that your future self will thank you for. Every day you delay, you're not just losing time, you're losing potential. And potential is the most expensive thing in the world to waste. Start today, stay steady, and let time and compounding become your most faithful business partners. One of the greatest realizations on the journey to wealth is that skills aren't just tools for employment, they're seeds for income streams. Every time you learn something new, solve a problem, or master a technique, you're not just improving your resume, you're building leverage. And the wealthy, they understand this. They don't just work a skill, they work on the skill, and then they work from the skill. That's the shift. Now let me give you a picture. Imagine someone who's become great at public speaking. At first, it's just a tool they use in their job, maybe to deliver better presentations or lead a team. But what happens when they take that same skill and start offering coaching, or recording videos, or speaking at paid events? Suddenly, that skill isn't just earning them a paycheck, it's creating streams. A skill turned into a system becomes a stream. And this is where most people miss it. They stop at competence, they get good, but not excellent. They learn the basics, but they never master. And then they wonder why their income stays the same. But the marketplace doesn't pay for average, it pays for distinction. It pays for transformation. So if you want your skills to generate income beyond your job, you've got to get so good that people come looking for you. You have to package what you know in a way that the market can use. When I first began to speak, it wasn't glamorous, it wasn't profitable either. But I treated it like an asset. I refined it. I studied great communicators. I practiced alone, in small rooms and to reluctant crowds. Eventually, that one skill just speaking opened doors to opportunities I never imagined. Books, seminars, mentorships, and each branch became a stream, all from one seed. So the question is, what skill do you already have that someone else would pay to learn? What problem can you solve that others are facing every day? Maybe you're great with spreadsheets, or design, or fitness. Maybe you've raised great kids or built something from scratch. Don't discount the skills you've built just because no one's paid you for them yet. If they're valuable, they're monetizable. And here's the beautiful part, you don't need permission. In this era, with a phone and the internet, you can share your knowledge, you can teach what you know on video, you can write, coach, consult, host workshops, build a course. There's a marketplace out there looking for results, and if you've got the roadmap, people will pay to follow it. But remember, the goal isn't to hustle every hour. It's to create something once and let it work for you again and again. That's the difference between effort and leverage, between labor and wealth. So ask yourself today, what skill have I been sitting on? What do I know that others need? And what's the first step to turning that knowledge into a stream? Because when you turn skills into streams, you don't just work for money, you let your wisdom go to work for you. You know, one of the greatest shifts in thinking, one that separates those who stay stuck from those who sorries, learning to trade what feels good now for what builds value over time. And here's the truth. If you want to build wealth, if you want to build anything lasting, you have to stop thinking in days and start thinking in decades. That's where real power begins. The broke mindset is always looking for a hit of dopamine. What feels good today? What's fun now? What's comfortable in this moment? But wealth isn't built in the moment, it's built through the moments. It's built in the quiet, patient discipline of choosing what will still be wise 10 years from now. Let me take you back to a lesson I learned early on. I had a mentor who once told me, every decision is a vote for your future self-er, a vote against it. And I never forgot that. You see, I used to spend money the way I spent time, carelessly. I'd ask, can I afford it today? Not, will this serve me tomorrow? I was thinking in days. But when I began to ask, what would the man I want to become do in this situation? That's when everything changed. And let me tell you something, wealthy people, they aren't smarter, they just think longer. When they make decisions, they don't just see the next step, they see the staircase. They ask, what will this look like in 5 years, 10 years? They zoom out, and in doing so, they make choices that build momentum, not just movement. Now, I'm not talking about sacrificing joy or living like a miser. I'm talking about conscious trade-offs, choosing to invest in your future instead of always indulging in the moment. It's the difference between buying the newest gadget and buying the stock of the company that made it. It's the difference between a weekend of entertainment and a weekend of education. One feels good now. The other creates good for years. It's like planting an orchard. You don't get fruit on day one. You don't even get fruit in year one. But 10 years from now, if you've watered it, nurtured it, protected it, that orchard provides fruit for the rest of your life. That's wealth thinking. It's delayed gratification fueled by clear vision. So ask yourself, are your choices today something you'll thank yourself for or something you'll regret? Is your spending aligned with your future goals? Is your calendar filled with things that build your dream or just kill your time? And here's the good news. It only takes one decision to start thinking differently. To pause before you spend, to invest before you indulge, to plan before you play. Wealth isn't built in a flash, it's built over time, by people who respect time. So think longer, think bigger, think in decades, and your future will thank you for it. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and the truth is both a mirror and a roadmap. If you're serious about building wealth, one of the greatest decisions you'll ever make isn't about which stock to buy, which business to start, or which course to enroll in. It's about who you allow into your mind space, into your conversation, and into your everyday influence. Let me tell you something I learned the hard way. If you hang around people who only talk about lack, struggle, and what can't be done, that attitude starts to infect your thinking. You don't even realize it at first. It starts small, an excuse here, a little envy there, a delayed dream, a comfort zone that becomes your permanent address. Before long, you're living a script you never chose, not because you weren't capable, but because your circle wasn't climbing and neither were you. But then I changed my circle. I started spending time with people who talked about ideas, not gossip. People who read books instead of watched hours of television. People who asked, "What are you building?" instead of, "What's the latest sale?" They weren't impressed by appearance, they were focused on ownership. They didn't just earn money, they made money multiply. And being around that kind of mindset, it rewired something in me. You begin to notice how they talk. They talk about assets, not just income. They talk about systems, not just salaries. They don't chase things, they build things. They value time like it's gold because they know you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. That kind of language begins to shape your own. You start thinking in terms of possibilities, not problems. You start asking better questions, and better questions change your life. Now, I'm not saying you cut everyone off. I'm saying you elevate your environment. Add in more of what lifts you. Seek out rooms that stretch you. Attend events where the conversation raises your ambition. Have coffee with people who are ahead of you. Read the books they read. Listen to what they listen to. Get into their rhythm not to impress them, but to become influenced by the excellence they carry. Proximity matters. It changes your thermostat. When you're around people who normalize excellence, discipline, growth, investing, you no longer see those things as strange. You see them as standard. You adopt those standards, often without even realizing it. And here's something powerful. Just being in the right room makes you think bigger. You hear someone talk about their first real estate deal, and you say, maybe I can do that. Someone else shares how they started a side business, and you think, what? What if I used my evenings differently? Ideas multiply in good company, and so does belief. So, audit your circle. Are you surrounded by wealth builders or excuse makers? Are your conversations lifting you up or locking you in? Make it a priority to associate with wealth-building minds, because who you spend time with is a preview of who you're becoming. Choose that future wisely. It's a strange paradox, isn't it? The wealthiest people you'll ever meet often look like they're still broke. Not because they are, but because they understand something most people never do. Wealth isn't about displaying success, it's about building it. You see, one of the greatest skills you can master on the road to financial freedom is this: the ability to stay broke on purpose. That means even when your income rises, your lifestyle doesn't have to. You get that promotion? Good. Don't run out and upgrade your car. Land a big client? Excellent. Don't rush to show it off with a watch that tells the same time as the one you already have. The wealthy play a long game. They understand that looking rich and being rich are two very different pursuits, and only one of them leads to freedom. I remember when I started earning real money for the first time. The temptation to upgrade everything around me was loud. People expect you to live a certain way when your income hits a certain level. But I made a decision to keep driving the same car, to keep wearing the same clothes, to keep my life simple. Why? Because I had something more valuable than approval. I had a plan. And that plan was to buy my freedom, not new furniture. There's something deeply powerful about mastering the ability to say, not yet. That kind of discipline is rare. Most people, when they make more, spend more. Their expenses chase their income like a shadow. But if you can flip that script, if you can hold the line and act broke while your wealth quietly grows in the background, you gain an edge most people never experience. That edge is peace. That edge is control. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't about deprivation. It's not about living like a miser or being cheap for the sake of it. It's about strategy. It's about letting your assets grow faster than your appetite. Every dollar you don't spend is a dollar that can be invested. Every time you delay gratification, you accelerate your future. And when you stay broke on purpose, what you're really doing is staying rich in discipline. Wealthy people don't seek validation from the outside world. They don't need to broadcast their success to feel successful, because they know that true wealth is invisible. It's stored in assets, in equity, in time, not in flashy clothes, not in luxury cars, not in attention. If you're building wealth, I encourage you, stay under the radar. Let your portfolio do the talking, not your purchases. Keep the focus on growing your financial foundation, not on impressing people who aren't paying your bills or shaping your destiny. Live like you're broke now so you never have to be broke again. That's how the truly wealthy win the gamut, not with flash, but with freedom. Now, as we come to a close, I want you to remember this. Wealth isn't just about numbers, it's about behavior. It's about how you think, how you choose, and how you live when no one's watching. Building wealth is less about your income and more about your intention. It's a quiet commitment to act differently, to think long-term, and to do the uncomfortable things today that make tomorrow comfortable. If you take one thing from this message, let it be this. You don't have to look wealthy to become wealthy. You just have to live with purpose. Begin small if you must, but begin. Build the habit of saving. Multiply your value. Guard your time. Stay humble when your income rises. And most of all, surround yourself with people who are already living in the direction you want to go. Now the question is, what will you do differently starting today? What choice will you make that your future self will thank you for? Don't wait for perfect timing, it's not coming. Take action now. Change a habit, shift a thought, upgrade your circle. The journey to wealth begins not with money, but with a decision. So, decide. And then, never look back.